down first, and then scroll through these slides.
Okay, good.
Hang on. Okay, what's going to happen is the assessors will read out a set of instructions.
Sit down.
And then the first speaker will come up to speak. Okay? Okay, so I'll read out the instructions first. Candidates, you are reminded of the following. Your supervising tutors have briefed you on the assessment criteria for the oral presentation. Each of you must present a part of your group's project. Individually, you're given a maximum of 5 minutes to present. Once your time is up, we'll give you a signal and you should quickly wrap up your presentation. Okay, so the first speaker will go up. So can you just scroll through his slides first? Is that the end of his slide?
Yeah, it is. I may not be doing well in JC math, but I can tell something doesn't add up.
Well, Xavier, I'm sure your math is fine. On a serious note, the cost of dialysis is shocking, isn't it? Hello, I'm Domin, and today, I'll be going through the root causes and a current measure. Although there are many root causes of CKD among taxi drivers, I'll be going through just 2 of them today. The first is a lack of awareness on CKD among taxi drivers. Due to the government's Let's Beat Diabetes campaign in 2016, we are all familiar with diabetes and the many ways to prevent them, such as frequent exercise and cutting down on our sugar or fat intake. While there has been an immense effort to raise awareness on diabetes, this is unfortunately not the case for CKD. Before today, how many of you can confidently state to know all about CKD? Personally, I have to admit, I've never even heard of the term CKD before starting on this project. This goes for taxi drivers as well. As compared to more popular and well-known health campaigns, initiatives to raise awareness on CKD and kidney health are few and far between. As such, taxi drivers do not know about the symptoms of CKD, making early detection and treatment of the disease difficult. It is unfortunate, but most taxi drivers only find out about their CKD once their kidney has lost a third. Sorry, I messed up there. It is unfortunate, but most taxi drivers only find out about their CKD once it has developed into a major health complication. To make things worse, taxi drivers do not know about the causes of CKD. Hence, they are more likely to continue with lifestyle habits that put them at greater risk of contracting CKD. This brings us to the second root cause: unhealthy lifestyle habits that affect the kidneys of taxi drivers. Taxi drivers often forget to take enough toilet breaks. This leads to excessive holding of their urine, which increases the risk of contracting CKD. Now, I know what you might be wondering. How is it possible to forget to use the toilet? Well, taxi drivers have to be highly focused on the roads for long periods of time while driving. As such, it is no surprise that the thought of taking toilet breaks could easily slip their minds. In addition, taxi drivers do not remember to drink enough water. This leads to dehydration, which further increases the risk of contracting CKD. It's hence obvious that reducing the incidence of CKD among taxi drivers is no easy feat. Before we move on to the strategies, let's take a look at the current measure, shall we? I'm sure many of you are familiar with ComfortDelGro, one of Singapore's taxi operators. But did you know that Comfort provides health screenings for its taxi drivers completely free of charge at their taxi servicing centers? It's true. Now, because of where I live, it takes me almost a whole hour to come to school by train. A whole hour! I would give an arm if it could mean cutting down on my travelling time, and I'm sure some taxi drivers feel the same when it comes to health checkups. As taxi drivers have to bring their cabs to the servicing centers every month for maintenance, they can hence go for these health checkups there while waiting for their cabs to be serviced. As such, these health checkups are highly popular among taxi drivers due to their convenience.
Convenience. Isn't that the basis of a strategy? Good morning, assessors. I am Kiran, and I shall be going through an overview of our strategies. We have adopted the Drive Healthy framework that consists of 2 strategies. So, you may ask, what are they? Well, our first strategy is called the Drive Healthy Roadshow. And our second strategy is called the carbohydrate bottle that is also paired to an ad. So, how would this help us address the prevalence of CKD among taxi drivers? Well, the Drive Healthy Roadshow aims to raise awareness of the causes and symptoms of CKD among taxi drivers in Singapore, while the carbohydrate bottle and app encourages the cultivation of healthy fluid intake and tolerable habits. However, the 2 strategies that we have require a large amount of resources. As such, we propose that you partner up with Nkf as well as Comfort Your Group. Nkf will then organize our Drive Healthy Roadshow, while Comfort Your Group will provide us the venue for it. Now, I am sure many of you might be wondering, why did we choose to collaborate with Comfort Your Group? Well, this is because Comfort Your Group is Singapore's largest taxi company with over 23,000 taxi drivers. This will greatly enable us to reach out to as many taxi drivers as possible via strategies, and they will also be willing to work together with us to help protect the health of their taxi drivers, as we will help them to raise awareness of the causes and symptoms of CKD among taxi drivers in Singapore. As mentioned earlier, our first strategy is called the Drive Healthy Roadshow. Speaking of roadshows, I recall attending a highly successful Let's Beat Diabetes health roadshow in the past, whereby the roadshow was very informative as it had many visual aids to help convey the message that leading a healthy lifestyle can reduce the chances of contracting diabetes. Additionally, it was also very convenient for the people in my neighborhood to attend, as it was located in my community center. Similarly, we hope that our Drive Healthy Roadshow can be just as convenient and informative for our taxi drivers as well. Thus, we decided to host it at comfort servicing centers. We will then promote our roadshow via a publicity event. Now, moving on to the roadshow itself, we have 3 stations to help address the lack of awareness of CKD among taxi drivers. So, you may wonder, what are they? Well, I shall be going through the first station, which is called the Rapid Urine Test Station, or the RUT station for short, whereby the RUT station requires taxi drivers to produce a urine sample for Nkf Health Advisors to conduct a urine test on it, whereby such tests check for the presence of blood and proteins in the urine samples, which are usually indicative of abnormal kidney function that may be a sign of CKD. This will greatly help us in the detection of CKD among taxi drivers in Singapore, making such tests very convenient for them. So that is just one station. I wonder what's in the other station.
Let me tell you about it. Good morning, everyone. I am Ikang, and I'll be sharing on the remaining station of our Drive Healthy Roadshow. In this station, we decided to employ the use of a reenacted video to educate taxi drivers on the causes and symptoms of CKD. Before I elaborate further, please take a look here. Do you recognize these pictures? Exactly. They are the Kung Fu themed anti-diabetes advertisement and Benjamin Ng's famous 2008 anti-gambling video. I'm not sure about you, but for me, these videos are very memorable. I still remember them clearly after all these years. Saying as to how effective videos are in ingraining their message, we decided to employ the use of a video by creating a little anti-CKD show. So, what are they? Let me tell you more about it. The video begins with a taxi driver, Mr. Tan, upset about his sore leg. Last night, my leg started cramping again. He ponders. Why is this happening so often? Furthermore, my back is always aching. I really am getting old. Oblivious, Tan carries on with his day, not knowing why he has the backaches or muscle cramps, showing how CKD has unclear symptoms. Soon, it is lunch break. Mr. Tan on the left and his colleague, Mr. Lee, meet up at the hawker center. As they eat, Tan grumbles about his frequent backaches and muscle cramps, crediting them to his old age. Lee, a CKD patient himself, suspects, I will be careful about you. It might be CKD. Puzzled, Tan refutes. What do you mean CKD? Why would I have it? Lee explains. Actually, we taxi drivers are very prone to CKD. We are trapped in our taxis for long hours, aren't we? Furthermore, we don't drink or urinate enough. Just go for a checkup to play safe, alright? This scene reflects the unawareness of CKD among most taxi drivers in real life. It educates them of the susceptibility to it. Through that, we want them to be more aware and ask, could I perhaps have CKD too? The last scene occurs a few months after the conversation. Mr. Tan, tired of his frequent backaches and muscle cramps, finally went for a kidney checkup. The results are in, and the doctor breaks the news. I'm sorry, Mr. Tan. We have detected decreased functioning in your kidneys due to CKD. But the good news is that we caught it early in stage 2. Your kidneys are still functional and you don't need dialysis. With that, taxi drivers will learn of the importance of protecting their kidneys early to avoid severe CKD. With that, we hope that taxi drivers can stay on their toes and act early to prevent contracting it at all. Overall, our video enables taxi drivers to protect their kidneys. They are able to avoid what causes it and know of the signs if it happens. We believe that our video can help taxi drivers lead healthier anti-CKD lives. Now that we have educated taxi drivers on the CKD, we have to
encourage them to take care of their kidneys, right? Good morning, assessors. I am Ao. To wrap this up, I'll be presenting our second strategy, the Nkf Hydrate bottle and the Nkf Hydrate Plus app. You're probably wondering, what's so special about our app and bottle? Through our strategy, we aim to kill two birds with one stone, tackling both taxi drivers' unhealthy habits by motivating them to improve their fluid intake and improve their toilet break habits. First and foremost, our strategy revolves around the usage of a smart water bottle. The Nkf Hydrate bottle connects to the Nkf Hydrate Plus app on the user's phone via Bluetooth. So how will this help? Let me break this down for you. Imagine that you are the taxi driver using the Nkf Hydrate Plus app. The Nkf Hydrate bottle will track the amount of fluids you have drunk and transmit this data to the Nkf Hydrate Plus app. As we all know, we should drink at least 8 cups of water every day, which is equivalent to about 2 liters. Therefore, the app will set 2 liters as your daily fluid intake goal. You're probably wondering, how I remember to drink so much? Well, not to worry, as the app will remind you to drink at least 250 milliliters of water every 2 hours. This encourages and reminds you to drink up even when you're busy driving. On top of that, we have to start asking the real questions. How often do you hold your pee? The app will also track your urination frequency and the color of your urine. All you have to simply do is input the color of your urine after doing your business by comparing it to the color gradient as shown. As a healthy person should urinate around 6 times a day, the app will remind you to go to the toilet if you have not done so in the last 3 hours. This is a preventive measure to discourage you from holding in your urine and remind you to go to the toilet regularly. After keying in all this data, you will receive weekly reports. These weekly reports will give you some insight on your habits to detect any red flags which could indicate the presence of CKD. For example, if your urine is especially dark colored, this could indicate this is a sign which could indicate the presence of dehydration and CKD. Additionally, these weekly reports will give you tips on how to improve your kidney health, such as reminding you to hydrate yourself at specific times. To summarize, our Drive Healthy Roadshow, Nkf Hydrate Bottle, and Nkf Hydrate Plus app helps educate and encourage taxi drivers to maintain their kidney health. To reduce the incidence and worsening of CKD among taxi drivers, their own initiative is also pivotal towards the maintenance of their kidney health. Thank you, assessors, for your kind attention.
Right. Each of you will be given an opportunity to respond to one question. Before we ask each question, we will tell you who should answer. You may ask for clarification or repetition of the question posed. This question is for the second speaker, Louis. Second speaker. All right. What is another current measure that you could have considered for your project?
Another current measure we could have considered was the Health Promotion Board's National Steps Challenge, or NSC for short. The NSC involves the giving out of free health trackers to the public. Members of the public who take part in this challenge would be able to sync the health trackers to their phones, and as such, the health trackers allows the tracking of the total of the daily number of steps and the amount of and the duration of exercise performed by the individual every day. To earn the most number of points, an individual has to hit 10,000 steps and at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. These points can then be exchanged for rewards, such as vouchers to supermarkets. One strength of this NSC is that the health trackers given to the public were free. As these health trackers were given out free of charge, there is almost no downside for the general public to take part in these events. To download the app is free of charge as well, and hence, the general public can take part in the National Steps Challenge which comes at no cost. This has allowed the National Steps Challenge to gain a huge boost in popularity, from 156,000 sign-ups in the first season to over 900,000 sign-ups in the fifth season. As such, we could have considered this strength in our strategy by at least discounting the Nkf Hydrate bottle or providing it for free to the taxi drivers instead of selling it to them at a normal price. Another strength we could have considered was the monetary incentives or vouchers that were given to taxi drivers, that were given to the public. As the general public can earn vouchers which can be spent in supermarkets, they will be more incentivized and willing to take part in the National Steps Challenge. Hence, they will be more likely to participate in the National Steps Challenge, which addresses the government's aim of encouraging healthy lifestyles among Singaporeans. We could have considered this in our second strategy. For the Carbohydrate app, we could allocate points to the taxi drivers based on the amount of water they have drunk daily, as well as the number of toilet trips made. Once taxi drivers amass these points, they can trade them in for vouchers at supermarkets or petrol rebates as well. This would greatly incentivize taxi drivers to use the app and portal, as they could earn rewards for doing so. However, one limitation of the National Steps Challenge is that its targets are not flexible. The Steps Tracker requires Singaporeans to walk at least 10,000 steps each day, as well as get 30 minutes of exercise each week to earn the full amount of rewards. However, taxi drivers have extremely hectic schedules. They can work shifts up to 12 hours each day, with only short breaks for lunch and toilet trips. As such, they may also have irregular schedules. On certain days, they may have more free time, while on other days, they may not be free at all. As such, taxi drivers may only be able to exercise on certain days, but not on others. Taxi drivers may. As such, the general public would, for the National Steps Challenge, the general public may only be able to clock in, let's say, 60 minutes of exercise on one day, but not be able to exercise at all for another day. However, as the National Steps Challenge follows a daily goal, the Singaporeans will only be able to receive the rewards for one day and not receive any points for the other day. As such, this is not flexible, and hence, the Singaporeans may not be motivated to exercise when they have the time to do so. Even they may not be motivated to exercise more than they should, even when given the time to do so. This goes for the taxi drivers as well. We could have considered this by implementing a weekly water target for our Carbohydrate Plus app. Even though taxi drivers.
Okay, stop. Time's up.
Thank you.
Okay, this question is for the second speaker. Second speaker.
Sorry, did you mean
Third speaker, sorry. Kieran. Could you share why your collaborators would be willing to work with you?
We have decided to collaborate with both Nkf and ComfortDelGro for our proposed strategies. So, what are the reasons for them collaborating with us? Well, there are three main reasons. One of them is Nkf will then have the opportunity to raise awareness about CKD among the people in Singapore. One of the second reasons why Nkf will be willing to collaborate with us is because it gives them the opportunity to boost their credibility as well. Last but not least, why ComfortDelGro will be willing to collaborate with us is because they will be able to boost their employees' productivity. So, first, let me start off with why Nkf wants to collaborate with us. Now, as mentioned earlier, the first reason is because this gives Nkf the opportunity to raise awareness of CKD among people in Singapore. From our research, we found out that Nkf is an official health organization that focuses on providing holistic care for the community, as well as being a strong advocate for kidney wellness. Thus, they will want to collaborate with us through our Drive Healthy Roadshow and through our Carbohydrate portal and app, in order to educate taxi drivers about the importance of kidney wellness and teaching them how to help them improve their lifestyle habits as well. This is because taxi drivers usually lead rather unhealthy lifestyle habits, and they also have a rather sedentary lifestyle. Thus, taxi drivers taxi drivers will be more health conscious and be more willing to take care of the key needs as a whole. This aligns with one of Nkf aims, which is to empower individuals to take better care of their key needs. Therefore, one reason why Nkf will be willing to collaborate with us is because we can raise awareness of CKD among people in Singapore. Now, the second reason why Nkf will be willing to collaborate with us is because this helps boost their credibility as a trusted health organization of kidney health. From what we have gathered so far, Nkf has only collaborated with both primary and secondary schools in Singapore through their Trans VIA program. However, they have not collaborated with any major government organizations before. Thus, by collaborating with us, they will be able to work alongside with ComfortDelGro. By ComfortDelGro is a major government organization. So this would really boost Nkf's reputation and their credibility as an official health organization that specializes in kidney care. And if our strategies are successful enough, this will enable Nkf to collaborate with other government organizations in the future. Besides that, taxi drivers will also be more aware of what Nkf does, and as such, they'll be more interested to find out what Nkf. They'll be more interested in finding out the other special programs that Nkf might offer. This will really help to boost the credibility of Nkf among taxi drivers in Singapore as well. Lastly, ComfortDelGro will be willing to collaborate with us, and this provides them an opportunity to boost productivity among its workers. This is because Comfort is a business organization that expects and tries to maximize productivity from their taxi drivers. Thus, by collaborating with us, they can teach and educate their taxi drivers on how to take care of their kidneys much better than before. This will make taxi drivers be more health conscious and be more willing to take better care of their kidneys. As such, this will greatly improve their work-health balance and would potentially maximize their productivity, as fewer taxi drivers will take medical leave and be more likely to work. This, in overall, will greatly boost ComfortDelGro's productivity as a whole, as more taxi drivers will be willing to work. Therefore, in conclusion, the three reasons why our collaborators will be willing to work together with us is because it helps to boost their credibility, and it also gives them an opportunity to raise awareness of CKD among people. And lastly, it also helps to maximize productivity among their employees as well. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, this is for the fourth speaker. How would you publicize the strategy you have presented?
When we publicize our strategy, we have to take into account how frequent taxi drivers are able to see the posters or whatnot. So one way you can publicize is to add advertisements onto the taxi monitors, which they use frequently for work. Another is to have radio advertisements. And lastly, we could think of placing posters at petrol stations. So the first one I talked about was the advertisements in the taxi monitors, right? As I mentioned earlier, taxi drivers use it frequently for work. So when they look at their cab fare and stuff, they look at the monitor. This is the reason why we want to place it there, in order for us to maximize the amount of times the taxi drivers will look at the advertisements, in order for us to convince them to attend our roadshow. The second way of publicizing I mentioned was radio advertisements. So taxi drivers frequently listen to radio stations such as Kiss 92 and Love 972, especially since these stations give live road news. And also because when they are picking up their passengers, they want to have music so that it doesn't make it awkward for them. As such, if we could make a small little chit chat between the hosts, it could allow taxi drivers to be exposed to the roadshow and carbohydrate bottles and apps. Last method I said was to paste posters on petrol pumps. So we propose to paste it on Caltex pumps specifically because they have the Cabby 21 program, in which taxi drivers can have subsidized fuel rates, and so this means that they are more likely to go there. By placing posters, it can publicize our roadshow and our carbohydrate merchandise, as they often look at the price per gallon sign, which is where we will be pasting the posters at. By showing them advertisements throughout, by hearing, by seeing, it engages them in their senses, and it psychs them up, gives them a message to check their kidneys in order to prevent CKD. So in conclusion, we can have advertisements on taxi monitors, have radio advertisements, and to have posters on petrol pumps. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, this question is for the final speaker. What are some potential impacts of your strategies?
There are three potential impacts in our strategies, which include a positive psychological and financial impact towards taxi drivers and their families, a positive economic impact towards the country and the government, and also a positive impact on the health of the community, such as on the health of other people that in the community that are prone to CKD, such as those who work in occupations that have to sit for long hours. The first impact that I'll elaborate on is the positive psychological and financial impact towards taxi drivers and their families. Taxi drivers do not earn taxi drivers earn about $1,000 to $2,000 each month, while the cost of hemodialysis can be about $3,000 a month. Therefore, if taxi drivers contract CKD, they will be stressed out about the financial strain of their healthcare costs, as the cost of hemodialysis is very expensive. Therefore, the taxi drivers will have to work longer hours in order to provide for their family and also maintain their healthcare costs, even though taxi drivers already work around 60 to 70 hours a week, according to interviews conducted by Today Online. Taxi drivers' long working hours may cause taxi drivers to overwork themselves or stress themselves out, which would give them a negative psychological impact. Therefore, through our strategy, such as the carbohydrate bottle and the Drive Healthy Roadshow, they are able to maintain their kidney health and if our strategy succeeds, we will be able to decrease the prevalence of CKD, the incidence of CKD among taxi drivers. Therefore, less taxi drivers will contract CKD if our project succeeds. So so since they do not have to, they don't contract CKD and they do not have to cover the healthcare costs of hemodialysis, they are able to they will be less stressed about handling the healthcare costs of of hemodialysis. So this will provide. So our project will provide positive impacts towards their psychological and financial needs. Furthermore, if our project succeeds, we will provide a positive economic impact towards the country. As if our project succeeds, the incidence of new cases of CKD among taxi drivers will decrease. As Singapore already spends a lot of money for healthcare subsidies, by reducing the amount of CKD cases among taxi drivers in Singapore, there will be less CKD cases for the government that we needed to be subsidized. Therefore, this money saved from subsidizing healthcare costs, the government can relocate these funds to other needs in Singapore, such as building infrastructure and building more houses to accommodate for Singapore's increasing population. The third impact is that as our Drive Healthy Roadshow spreads awareness about CKD due to prolonged sweating and other causes of CKD, if our project and app succeeds, other app developers may catch on to our app and may want to work with us to improve our app to include other features and include other people from other occupations that require prolonged sitting, which makes them prone to CKD. Therefore, our app can be used by
Stop.
Thank you.
Okay, I will comment on the answers. The second speaker, by the way, the first speaker, what would he have covered?
The impacts, target group